Hello, good evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. It is coming to you live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Coming up this evening, minority in parliament says the energy minister must face scrutiny for neglecting the energy sector recovery program, which has caused the recent power outages. Also coming up, marine artisanal canoe fishers have expressed dissatisfaction in their exemption from the annual closed fishing season. And later in the bulletin, we are told that Ghana has reportedly rejected a proposed bilateral health agreement with the United States. That's according to sources familiar with the negotiations. We have details of all of these and more, including business and sports at the tail end of the show. Before that, though, let's bring you the news summaries with Noura Mohammed. Hello, Noura.
Hello, Martin. Good evening. First in the news summaries, President John Dramani Mahama has launched the construction of an interconnecting concourse linking Terminals 2 and 3 at the Accra International Airport, marking the start of a major infrastructure project to reduce congestion and boost Ghana's ambition of becoming a leading aviation hub in West Africa. At the sword-cutting ceremony, he emphasized that the initiative is more than ceremonial, describing it as a critical investment aimed at improving operational efficiency, enhancing passenger experience, and supporting the country's long-term economic growth. Also in the summaries, Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa, Benjamin Anane-Kwashi, has assured that no Ghanaian has been harmed amid ongoing protests in parts of the country, particularly in Pretoria and surrounding communities. The demonstration, organized by a group described as the March Organization, is taking place at the Union Buildings. The group, led by Ms. Jacinta Ngobisi Zuma, is calling for the removal of undocumented foreign nationals. Also, the Ashanti South Regional Police Command has shot and killed 2 suspected highway robbers, while a police officer sustained injuries during a gun battle in an intelligence-led operation to retrieve buried weapons. The operation, conducted between April 25 and 26, 2026, targeted a criminal network believed to be behind a series of roadblock robberies along the Obuasi-Manso, Nyinahin stretch and other parts of the country. Addressing a press conference on Tuesday, April 28, Ashanti South Regional Police Commander DCOP Joseph Hamonyaba said the operation was triggered by intelligence that a key suspect, Sumaila Munkaila, also known as Guda, was hiding at Vitin and Tamale in the northern region. That'll be all for the summaries. Over to you, Martin.
Thank you very much, Noura, for the news summaries. Let's settle for the details of our stories now. And we're starting from the very unfortunate development of security concerns also coming up. But before that, maybe we'll do power sector issues. The minority in parliament says the energy minister must face scrutiny, just like the Great Co-Chief Executive Officer, indicating that John Jinapor's policy direction and government's neglect of the energy sector recovery program have caused the recent power outages. Accusing government of incompetence, the deputy ranking on the Energy Committee is demanding payment of some $500 million owed to independent power producers and a comprehensive briefing on plans to resolve the crisis. Deputy ranking on the committee, Collins Adomako Mensah, says the outages are the result of months of government incompetence, demanding that the sector minister appears before the House to answer some questions. Let's listen to the concerns being raised by the minority.
Ghana's power crisis, the doom that millions of Ghanaians have been enduring since January 2025, was not caused by any accident at Akosombo. It was caused by this government. The events of 23rd April are the latest and most dramatic symptom of a power sector left to decay under the NDC's incompetent stewardship. The Mahama government must not be permitted to use this incident as a convenient alibi for a crisis that predates it by more than a year. And the NPP minority will not allow that cynical rewriting of history to pass unchallenged. Let us be unequivocal about the timeline. Long before the event of 23rd April 2026, Ghanaians across every region of this country had been enduring persistent, unannounced, and devastating power outages. ECG had been issuing relentless emergency and maintenance schedules throughout April 2026. The ECG Director General had already issued public apologies for chronic power fluctuations, causing damage to household equipment and crippling small businesses. Communities were living in darkness, not for hours, but for days. Industries were hemorrhaging losses. Cold stores were warming. Hospitals were straining on generators. That was the reality of Ghana's power sector before any incident at Akosombo. The government must immediately cease describing a nationwide power crisis as a planned maintenance program or a series of routine transformer upgrades. Ghanaians are not fooled. The lights are out because this government failed to implement the recovery plan it inherited, not because of engineering schedules. Implement the ESRP without further delay. The Minister of Energy must appear before the full House and brief members on the current state of Ghana's generation and transmission capacity, the financial obligations outstanding to IPPs, the status of the ESRP, and this government's credible, costed, and time-bound plan to end doomsday. Clear outstanding IPP obligations immediately. Commission and publish a national infrastructure safety audit.
So you heard the voice of Collins Adomako Mensah, who is deputy ranking on the Energy and the Energy Committee of Parliament. Already, many small and medium-scale businesses are bearing the brunt of the erratic power supply currently happening across the country. The situation has sparked complaints and frustrations from energy consumers, with some asking for a load shedding schedule or a timetable to help them plan. On the line now is the chairman of the Greater Accra branch of the Association of Ghana Industries, Chonam Akpalu. Mr. Chonam, a very good evening. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, and good evening to your cherished listeners, and thank you for having me.
Can you help us have an idea the kind of impact that businesses, especially those that you are representing in the Greater Accra region, how are they managing or feeling the power issues, the power challenges we are facing at the moment?
Yes. Okay. So I'll begin by talking about the fact that about 3 or 4 or so weeks ago, when the government started this whole changing of transformers, where we started experiencing some power outages as a result, we had made complaints. And then fast forward, this fire accident happened, and it's gotten worse. The reality is that a lot of our members are really struggling to deal with the situation. You know, the power, the hydro source of power, which is what the ECG serves to us, is relatively the cheaper option. And so a lot more of our industry people would prefer to use the ECG power. But because of this situation, it's becoming clear that we have to look for alternative sources. And the alternative sources are very expensive. Either you're using solar or you're depending on a genset. Whichever way, they are costly. Now, if you want to continue to rely on the ECG source of power, then it's even more problematic because of the consistent erratic situation that we had to deal with as a result of everything that's happened so far. So our members are in a big fix. They really don't know what to do. And as a result, the cost of production is just going high. You know, our situation, we deal with this is on daily basis. Every day you have to put on your factory machines and produce. So whether we are saying 1 week, 3 weeks, etc., we're having a daily situation, you know, and the costs are going up. And eventually the problem will be that we may have to pass the cost to the final consumers, which is all of us buying the market. But the reality is that if you're not careful about also passing the very high cost we're incurring as a result of this power outage, you have to deal with a relatively cheaper imported product. So what it means is that you just price yourself out of the market, and then there will be eventual collapse because people will no longer be buying your products. So we are saying that this problem is not a mere problem, it's a major problem. It's affecting industry, it's affecting our very core, which is that decision making is not good, it's not simple for us at all, because whichever way decision we are making is affecting our bottom line and is threatening the very survival of businesses. So we hope that this matter will be brought to an end as soon as practical.
And I'm sure that you've been interacting with your members also on this. Can you help us have an idea which sectors are most affected? Manufacturing, I'm sure, will be one. And how? So, what are the alternative plans that your members are putting in place whilst we all wait for the resolution to this challenge?
Yes. So the more heavier your industrial establishment is, the more you're affected, right? A lot of our members depend heavily on the production setup, which are heavy equipment, heavy machinery that require power to be able to run their factories. So it's not just merely using light, as most people do, to power their ACs in the office and so on. This one, you are actually using the power to produce, so that the very survival of the production process depends on the power that you are getting. So that if you're unable to get the power, then you don't have a production because you are not producing anything. So those are the folks that are heavy hit. I mean, they cut across all industries, all the over 24 sectors that we're dealing with. You know, from manufacturing to fashions, you know, to agri-business, to processing and all of that. So the effect is everywhere. In terms of alternative, as I mentioned earlier on, it's challenging because the other alternative is to rely on the gensets, but that also depends. If you already have the gensets, then you have to confront the cost of fuel, diesel you have to buy in order to power the genset. So that's obviously going to increase your cost because these are all unintended budgets. Number two, if you don't have a genset, then that's really where you are going to have to deal with a bigger issue. So you now need to look for money to buy genset in order to power your factory. So it's really a very difficult situation at this moment. In fact, as I mentioned, it threatens the very survival of a lot of our businesses. You know, mind you, over 80% of our businesses are SMEs, actually. So they are really already struggling with other issues, from cost of capital to actually being able to access the capital and all of that. So power, issue around power is become so major. Already about 30% of all the cost of production, it goes to power. Okay? So power already the major determinant of how the production process pans out. And actually in even fixing price of your products in the market. So all of this, in the near future, I can predict that the cost of a lot of the goods that we produce, they have to go up, which becomes a natural consequence of the situation we're currently dealing with.
None
so
of your
really the situation we're facing.
None of your the companies that are under your watch have shut down as a result of the current power challenges. Have you received any such report?
Well, look, our people are always resilient. I mean, they are strong. They will not necessarily give up that easy. So we are trying and we're surviving. And we're hoping that none of our members collapse as a result of this situation. But normally it's just a matter of time because there's so much cost you can endure in production. Beyond certain level, you are unable to. So we are praying that we don't get to that stage. So as I speak to you, I don't have no official report of a collapse as a result of this situation, but we are praying we don't get there.
Coincidentally, the entire country, depends heavily on power to do a lot of things. Even civilians, or regular citizens, also need it. But as businesses, are there alternative plans that, going forward, considering the fact that as a country we've not been able to consistently fix our power challenges over the last decade or so, every now and then the situation gets out of hand and businesses struggle. Is there an alternative position AGI would like to propose, maybe to government or to your members, so that it becomes like an effective backup in case the national grid is facing these kinds of challenges?
Yes, so AGI, realizing this situation a couple of years ago, established the AGI Energy Service Center, which essentially is to explore and research into alternative sources of power to be able to power industry. So we've established that, and they've been focused on researching around a more greener and more sustainable alternative source of power, like solar. So as I speak, some of our members do have solar establishments in their factories. So that's really great. So for those who have these solar and other renewable sources of power, they are less affected with the current situation we are dealing with. However, the cost of these alternative sources of power are high. And normally, because it requires that you have to put down a large sum of money at a go in order to set up some of these alternative sources like solar, a lot of our members are unable to cough up the money to set up this, except for the few established ones with the capacity to do this.
Right.
So, as it is now, we would just encourage our members to continue to establish the alternative sources like solar, so that in the future we can minimize and mitigate some of these challenges in a big way.
Finally, the Minister for Energy and Green Transition yesterday addressed the media and by extension the entirety of the country, and more or less painted a picture of what the situation is, what kind of alternative solutions they are seeking to it, and how quickly they are hoping to fix the problem. From the side of government, are there suggestions you can make so that government, ensures that at least for businesses and households, there are ways they can be better protected, especially the manufacturing sector, so that then when some of these challenges happen, the adverse impact is minimized?
Yes, thank you. So for our members, we are encouraging them to quickly adopt alternative means, as I mentioned. However, we would like to encourage government to, as a matter of necessity, come out with a plan that helps AGI to be at least try to mitigate the risks. Because you see, if I know that I will have light tomorrow from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. in my factory, it's easier for me to plan and decide who should come to the factory or not. So we're saying that in the immediate terms, we need daily, by the hour, or at least weekly plans, quickly. So that will help us to mitigate. All the work we do in industry rely heavily on planning. So we need that to plan. But going forward, we really like to see a more sustainable solution to this challenge. We really want to see that. But for government, once they are able to furnish us with immediate plans, then I believe it will help us to deal with the issue even better.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening, and we are grateful that you made time to talk to us. And you had Chonam Akbalu, who is chairman of the Greater Accra branch of the Association of Ghana Industries. And so if you're a business or you know a business owner, or at least someone who's been in business that depends heavily on power, let us know how this particular power situation is affecting your business in the comment section, or you can just also let us know how you are managing through this current electricity crisis that the country is facing. You know that the Green Transition Minister, or the Minister in charge of Energy and Green Transition, Dr. John Jinapo, gave clear indications that as of yesterday, 2 of the main transformers that were damaged were back on stream. A third one should be back hopefully by end of this week, and in the next few days all the 6 that were damaged as a result of the fire in Akosombo should all be back on stream. So we are all keeping our fingers crossed. But if you had the minority, they are also pushing a totally different argument. They say that the power challenge was quite prevalent way before the current fire outbreak, and then the transformer replacement that the government is talking about and ECG has also put forward. From what we've been hearing from especially ECG and the government or the Ministry of Energy, they say that it is the kinds of works being done in the background that may be the result of the current challenges that we are facing. And the issue has been worsened by the fire outbreak at the Akosombo fire substation. So that is where the challenge also is stemming from. So it looks as though, in as much as government is putting in efforts to try and resolve the issue, it is also quite cumbersome. And that is why we want to hear from you on how all of this is impacting your personal life and then your business as well. And still on power-related issues, more than 8,000 workers of the Electricity Company of Ghana are living in fear. Their concern follows a wave of accusations from some political actors who claim that the ECG staff are deliberately sabotaging the nation's power supply. However, the General Secretary of the Public Utility Workers Union, Timothy Nyame, has warned that the issue may create industrial disharmony in the energy sector. He's joined us on the line for a quick conversation on this. Mr. Nyame, thank you for your time. What exactly are these concerns that the ECG workers are raising?
Thank you very much, and warm greetings to your listeners. If you can recall, there have been some power interruptions some days, this past days, and what we started receiving, information we started receiving was that some political uptakes and then media practitioners and social commentators have started calling out the workers of ECG as the people who are actually deliberately putting off the power. And as you may be aware, the issue of ECG came to light throughout the whole of last year, where we have actually collaborated with management to help turn around the fortune of the organization. So it is just surprising for us to hear that these power interruptions are caused by the workers of ECG. That we take exception to that. We are waited for a period. Nobody is actually responding to what these political actors are saying. And if we don't take time, if care is not taken, our members cannot be able to work on the field because of this open ridicule that they are exposing them to. So we issue a press statement in protest against what these social commentators and political players are doing, to let them understand that no ECG can deliberately put off the power for what reason we do not know. This is the product that we sell. It is a product that we have also committed ourselves to transforming the organization. So it is not true that it is the workers of ECG who are doing that. And stating those things in the media space, play our workers on the field. Most of the workers of ECG are field workers. And if you call them out like this, it will be dangerous for them to work on the field. So we are just appealing to those actors to slow down and refrain from those activities or those practices that they are utterances. You can also recall that some of our members in the Western Region House will be called out by some media players that they are responsible for power outages. We take so much exception to that. And we ask that those who have said those things should be able to prove with evidence that this what is happening. It is the workers, all these power outages are the result of our workers' inaction. Because if you may know, operations, every power outage is recorded. And there's nothing that happens so long as the power sector is concerned that is not recorded in our system. There are control mechanisms that we use to monitor the operations of the power that we operate. So for somebody to just say that is the people without proof, we have a serious reservation given about that. So that's why we made a press statement yesterday, calling on all those players to refrain from those.
Yeah, it's quite disturbing the way you put it. So if I understand what you're saying, it means that when some politicians get the opportunity to be on air, I mean on a radio station or on a TV station, some of them are accusing ECG staff of deliberately tampering with their power. Is that, and you actually have heard some of this yourself?
Oh, we didn't hear it live, but I'm putting the playback of those interactions, those interviews from the studios. So, and also some of them I've heard it myself, especially when it came to the issue of our officers in the Western region, where the regional engineer, the district engineer, the district manager were called out as people perpetrating those illegalities. And the people fell short of providing evidence for what they were doing. That's what actually we had is a worry. And my brother, I'm so worried because the light must be on, and it is the people who are on the floor who must make this power to be on. So when you are calling them like this, you can just see the danger that you are exposing them to. That's all that we are saying. And it is actually so much not acceptable. And interestingly, nobody has come out to reprimand those who are making those commentary. So does it need to take the workers of ECG to actually respond to this, who are lawfully going about their normal work? And you know that putting off power is an illegal activity. Why have they not brought all this into the appropriate authority for them to be dealt with? That's my worry. You know, it's an illegality.
Absolutely. And so it is good that you have drawn the public's attention to some of these unfortunate comments that jeopardize the safety of ECG staff. But beyond that, what's the way forward? Have you engaged, for instance, the leadership of ECG themselves or the Ghana Police Service? What kind of protection can they give ECG staff so that they do not come under attack, especially now that people are using media platforms to, threaten them?
Okay, so for now, we are issuing a press statement, and we are cautioning our members to be very careful when their operations on the field. We've urged them to continue to work, but to take caution in wherever they are going. If they need to beef up their numbers in whatever they are going to do the work, they should do. But that one is also associated with cost. Where you need 2 or 3 people to go, you need more than 4 or 5 people because of the insecurity that we foresee. But with time, looking at the trend, if it doesn't stop, the next step will be taken. And I want to say that we don't know the outcome, what will happen if this thing persists. These are human beings, and it is to be so disastrous for her to hear that we have lost a staff as a result of somebody's pronouncement. This is what we have to watch and then make sure that this thing does not occur.
That doesn't happen. Okay. And finally, I'm sure that there are psychological support that some staff may have to start receiving before they even go onto the field to work, so that in case there are any forms of confrontations, they will know how to handle themselves. We pray against all of that, especially now that you say people are being incited against ECG staff, and very unfortunate. But how are you holding up these staff members of ECG? What kind of support are you giving them so that they can still go out there about their business without worry?
Yes. So to be very frank, we have engaged the cooperation and safety department of ECG for them to quickly give support, psychological support to our members when we identify as having challenges. Look, my brother, this way that we are talking about, it is all day long. Oh. It's all night long. It's not that in the day they go to, in the night they go to sleep. It's a shift. They work for 24/7. So we are actually also encouraging them, and our members across the districts have been informed to actually see how best they can keep up their enthusiasm so that the work will continue. We want power to be sustained, and we want power to be sustained. We don't forget last year we did Operation Keep the Light On. Mm-hmm. So the same people who launched Operation Keep the Light On should be now the people who are actually advancing the power disconnection. It is not acceptable. But I'm also using your medium to appeal to these players that they should actually see, and those who also have what it takes to talk to them, but they should also do that. Because as I said earlier on, we don't know what will happen when this interests. We cannot say.
Certainly. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening.
All right. Thank you very much.
And that is Timothy Nyame, who is the General Secretary of the Public Utility Workers Union, PUU. And he has actually, clarified the kinds of threats that ECG staff are coming under as a result of some political and public commentators who use media platforms to threaten ECG staff, saying that these ECG staff are the ones going around turning on and off the lights or playing with the power situation in the country. A position he has flatly condemned, and we all condemn that, when people are in their line of work, you need to rather support them. Similar concerns have been raised about firefighters when there is a fire incident and the National Fire Service officers arrive at the scene. For whatever reason, sometimes they come under a barrage of attacks, and recently they decided to launch the Fire Service Police Unit, which amongst other things will provide security for fire officers when they are on location trying to douse a flame. So the public should be better informed about supporting these individuals who are from amongst us, just that they have chosen their expertise to either be in the police service or be in the fire service or be ECG staff. So if it's a relative, a brother, a colleague, and they are doing their work as mandated, and they are trying to ensure that whatever service they are providing is stable and sustained, we do not have any grounds for whatever reason to attack them, let alone call on other people to attack them. So it is condemnable, and we hope that these public calls are dealt with immediately. You're still on 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. We are turning our attention to security-related matters now. And following an attack by unknown assailants on a military patrol team in Binduri in the Upper East region, the Ministry of the Interior has, with immediate effect, restricted the use of motorbikes by all persons in Binduri Township and its environs. A joint task force of the Ghana Armed Forces earlier arrested 21 suspects in connection with the ambush that resulted in the death of one passenger and the injury of two others. Well, there was an update on this particular issue where we are told that beyond the arrest of 21 suspects, the leadership of the Ghana Armed Forces yesterday in a statement said that 7 of the assailants had been shot dead in the exchange of gunfire. 3 civilians unfortunately lost their lives, 7 assailants. So it brings the number of people who died as a result of that attack to 10. The ministry in a statement noted that in view of the security situation, the restriction is a necessary measure to maintain law and order, protect lives and property, and support ongoing security operations in the area. Government is urging chiefs, elders, opinion leaders, the youth, and all residents in Binduri and surrounding communities to exercise restraint and remain calm. Let's talk to Castro Senyala. He is our man following this particular development for us. Castro, thank you for your time. So what more do we know about the incident, and how rampant is the use of motorbikes, and how would this order or restriction on the use of motorbikes affect public commute? Hello, Castro, can you hear me? Hello, Castro.
Yes, hello, man. Can you hear me?
Yes, I think the line is a bit dodgy, but kindly reposition yourself and then let me hear the answers you're giving.
Yes, Martin, can you hear me?
Yes, it is still a bit shaky, but maybe we'll need to. So let's try again, and hopefully, if it is clearer, we'll continue.
Hello, Martin.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so if you didn't hear my question, I would want to repeat it. Did you hear it? All right.
Hello,
So,
Martin.
yes.
Yes, the question.
All right. So go ahead.
So I will start first of all, I think the picture of the situation on the ground today.
Unfortunately, the line isn't too clear, so I will try and reconnect with Castro so that if we do get him on a clearer connection, we'll let our listeners know what the situation is in Binduri and its environs following the order given that no motorbikes should be used, especially around this time. And this is an order coming from the Ministry of the Interior, and it comes on the back of an attack on a convoy that was being led by the military. Stay with us. This is 3FM 92.7. This is still 3FM 92.7. We are staying on the issue of the insecurity concerns coming in from Binduri and its township, where the Interior Minister or the Interior Ministry is asking that with immediate effect, there should be no use of motorbikes for persons within that catchment area. Joining us on the line now is security consultant, Mr. Richard Kumado. A very good evening to you, sir. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome, Martin.
How important is this restriction order about the use of motorbikes, especially when you are trying to investigate and fight crime?
Definitely, it's one of the core issues that will come up in the investigation. The model of appliance of the offenders or the assailants. Definitely, they would have been on motorbike to the extent that they want to cramp down on the assailants not moving out of the community or their movement being noticed and seized. Motorbike becomes the first target. So I wasn't surprised they're asking people not to use motorbike. I think it's going to be for a short period of time, after which this particular order will be lifted.
So we'll look at the key security issues that are at play here, but that is quite also restricting, especially when you know that in that particular part of the country, the most common mode of transportation is motorbike. So people are going to be heavily restricted, no?
Definitely, yes. I wish they would have found alternative methods where we would have done something like a stop and search for a short period of time. But probably those taking the decision thought otherwise, and they feel stopping them from using motorbikes will grant the military in particular access to be able to do search in their homes or restricting people into the domain areas where they think crime is likely going to be committed in terms of reprisal attacks. So restricting them makes them stay back and they will have access. I want to believe it's a short measure, and whatever happens, the order will be taken out very soon to create some level of flexibility for mobility within the domain.
And to the substantive issue of, guns being fired at the convoy, which was being led by the military, is it that, can one assume that these assailants did not see that these are soldiers, or they probably saw, but they have become emboldened criminals, so they do not care whether they are police or military, they decided to shoot at them? What's your
Not at
assessment
all.
of this?
What they did was to test the pulse of the military. So that if you realize Boko has been calm for some time now, and they want to test the pulse of the military, and they will look at the response of the military. If the military do not respond appropriately and forcefully and rightly, then they will try to turn Boko into the former status where crime was the order of the day and security breaches was the order of the day. Those who benefit from crime in terms of economics or finance, we will want these guys to test the pulse of the military. Number two, when it comes to committing of crime and prevention of same, the law enforcement agencies and the offenders or the criminal, they struggle to control the space, and whoever controls the public space wins the day. So because Boko has been quiet for some time, they saw the military, but they don't want to go for the hardcore, because going for the hard target means that it will deplete their ammunition resource. So they went for the soft target, which is the bus, and which will also cause a lot of upheaval and discomfort for the military and government. So that is the psychology why they went for them. Having said that, when it comes to the military or the law enforcement agencies, escort travels on that line. The protocols has been established for years. They have used it perfectly. Why this particular time is failed, which led to the public safety challenges we are talking about, they might want to review it and they might want to reassess it again. And their response within the 72 hours of the commission of the crime will determine whether they're on top of the job or they would need additional support.
So there's, clear commendations to the military for the sanity and, quiet they have brought to Boko and its environs. This is actually coming after several months of long silence, I should say, from that area. Do you think this can dent the morale of the men on the ground who are maintaining law and order?
Definitely not. It will rather ginger them, because now they have a fight with assailants. If they respond appropriately and they respond forcefully and they respond effectively, the assailants will go back into hiding, just like they have contained them and curtailed their activities for the past 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months. Until that is done, they will have a long fight on their hands. And I don't think the military in particular will want a long fight. So they will do everything possible within 72 hours to ensure that they have control within the public space and the assailants will run back to wherever they came from.
All right, Mr. Kumado, thank you for your expert thoughts. Richard Kumado is a security analyst there. You heard him talking to us about the Binduri situation. Earlier, we tried to get our correspondent, Castro Sanyala, to paint a picture for us of what's happening on ground, but that connection wasn't too clear. But, you get an idea that the presence of the military in Boko, Binduri, and adjoining towns has brought relative calm to the place as compared to a few years ago when there was consistent instability in Boko. At least for now, the sustainability is the concern many are asking for, where we can ensure that we go a year, 2 years, 3, 5, 10 years without any kind of commotion or disturbance in Boko, so that development can also come to those areas. We are keeping our fingers crossed to update you when we get further information regarding the security situation in that part of the country. Away from that, though, and marine artisanal canoe fishers have expressed dissatisfaction in their exemption from the annual closed fishing season. The fisheries minister announced that the closed fishing season aimed at effective management measures for restoring fish stock as it allows fish to reproduce. Their exemption, according to the Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture, Emilia Arthur, is intended to protect livelihoods, artisanal fishing communities whose livelihoods depend on depends solely on fishing and related activities while ensuring an inclusive and balanced approach to fisheries management. However, industrial trawlers, semi-industrial vessels will observe a 2-month and 1-month closed season, respectively. The Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture, together with the Fisheries Commission, announced that enforcement will be tightened this year, warning that violators will face sanctions under the Fisheries and Aquaculture Act 2025, Act 1146. Let's listen to the Minister in charge.
Canoe fishing vessels this year, 2026, will not observe a closed season. The ministry and partners will advance the Fishers Protection Package that we are currently working on, that will cover vessel licensing, tracking, and communication systems, insurance for fishing assets, social security arrangements for fishers, access to fisheries subsidies, including premise fuel, will be transparently linked to participation in this package. Stakeholder consultations will roll out as soon as possible.
Emilia Arthur is the Minister in charge of Fisheries and Aquaculture in Ghana. Ghana has reportedly rejected a proposed bilateral health agreement with the United States. That's according to a source familiar with the negotiations. The decision marks another hurdle in Washington's broader push to restructure how it delivers foreign aid, particularly in the health sector. The proposed deal was expected to shift assistance away from traditional multilateral channels toward direct country-to-country engagement or agreements. Such arrangements often come with specific conditions on how funds are used, how programs are implemented, and what outcomes are prioritized. Sources indicate that Ghana's hesitation may stem from concerns about sovereignty over its health policies, sustainability of funding, and alignment with national health priorities. Ghana is traditionally relied on partnerships with multiple donors, including global health funds and UN agencies, which provide pooled financing and technical support. A bilateral arrangement could potentially narrow that support base or require adjustments to existing programs. The rejection also highlights a broader debate among developing countries about foreign aid reforms. While bilateral deals can allow for more targeted interventions, critics argue they may reduce flexibility, increase administrative burden, and shift decision-making power toward donor governments. It's worth noting that negotiations could still continue, but for now, Ghana's position underscores the complexities involved in reshaping global health aid. Talks between Zimbabwe and the United States collapsed earlier this year following similar reasons also put forward by Zimbabwe, and Zimbabwe halted negotiations, saying that the terms could undermine the sovereignty, their sovereignty, and that there were unequal exchanges. Another African country that is in the mix of all of this is Kenya. Now, Kenya initially signed a similar health funding agreement with the US. Ghana has now rejected the deal outright after objecting to data sharing requirements in the terms. Why countries are cautious? Data privacy concerns are the reason. Fears of losing control of public health policy, long-term sustainability questions, and then also political backlash domestically. Several others are still negotiating, and we'll let you know how all of this plays out in the coming days. To the Ashanti region, and the Ashanti South Regional Police Command has shot and killed 2 suspected members of a highway robbery gang during an intelligence-led operation while retrieving a cache of weapons buried in a bush. The operation, conducted on April 25 and 26 this year, targeted a criminal network linked to many roadblock robberies along the Obuasi-Manso-Nyinehin stretch and other parts of the country. Briefing the media on the 28th of April, the Ashanti South Regional Police Commander, DCOP Joseph Hammond Nyaba, called the public to give them credible information to arrest armed robbers and other criminals within their jurisdiction.
In the bushes by the robbers and the unraveling of a broader robbery network responsible for several attacks. The command gathered intelligence that suspect Sumaila Munkaila, also known as Buddha, who is wanted in connection with multiple road robberies, was hiding in the interrogation. The suspect admitted his involvement in several robberies, including 3 specific incidents. 1, the attack on the convoy of His Majesty Ditu Dini Abiale Ayaktam, Member of Council of States, the China Pure, on the 20th of July 2025. 2, a roadblock robbery on the Bupe Tamale stretch on 21st April 2026, and a roadblock robbery on the JJC Fumbisi stretch on the 22nd of April 2026. As mentioned 4 accomplices, namely Umaru Musa, Tungude, Sumaila, and Bera as his accomplices. He subsequently led the police team to Safulugu in the northern region, where suspect Umaru Musa was arrested at approximately 23:30 hours the same night. Both suspects indicated that their weapons had been concealed underground in the bush at Letesi near Fundisi in the Upper East region, having buried them following their last robbery on the Letesi Fundisi stretch.
And you heard the voice of the Ashanti South Regional Police Commander, who is in the person of DCOP Joseph Hammond Nyaba. Now, the Ministry of Local Government has issued a 1-week ultimatum to metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives across the Greater Accra region to remove all unapproved billboards. The directive is part of renewed efforts to restore order, improve safety, and enhance the city's visual appeal. The skyline of Accra has long been dominated by a mix of towering billboards, some approved, many not. But authorities say that era of unchecked advertising structures may finally be coming to an end. During an inspection tour, the Deputy Minister for Local Government, Rita Na Odole-Soa, raised concerns about the rapid spread of unregulated billboards, warning that beyond the visual clutter, some of these structures pose real danger to residents and other motorists.
They are going to declutter the entire space, because when you come to this particular area, it's between Lada de Kotopon and Ayawaso West. And our officers are here, the planning officers are here. And so I believe the planning officers are also seeing what we are seeing. And I want to say a big thank you to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who has mandated us to look at this space. Because when we are looking at the urban development, these are all areas we need to look at. We just don't have to focus on the buildings and other areas. But the advertising space is one area we need to ensure that the space is well managed. And so I would say that the MMDCs have assured us we'll come back in a week, especially to the areas that we've visited. And then from there we'll do the Dansoman areas as we saw in the pictures. And I believe everybody is going to support this idea. And then we also realized on our rounds that there are bus shelters that have been constructed. We have a bus stop, and every bus stop should have one bus shelter. You look at Tetekwashi here, it has about 3 bus shelters, and people have made it their business centers. Some of them are making it their homes.
And that's the Deputy Minister for Local Government, Rita Na Odole-Soa. The directive, however, has been welcomed by the industry players. Executive Director of the Advertising Association of Ghana, Isaac Kujo, says the move is both necessary and overdue. So it clearly tells you that there is support for this decision by government. We would update you on how the exercise will unfold. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. Time now for the latest in the world of sports.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition with me, Oreku Ampofo. Let's start off with our first story where Daniel Gaspar has been appointed as the goalkeepers trainer for Ghana's national team ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. His club, Hartford Athletic, has confirmed the experienced Portuguese goalkeeper and specialist joins the Black Stars technical team under newly appointed head coach Carlos Queiroz, extending a professional relationship between the two that spans more than 3 decades. Gaspar and Queiroz have worked together in various capacities since 1992, forming one of the most enduring coaching partnerships in international football. Their collaboration has taken them across club and national team assignments over the years. A highly respected figure in goalkeeping development, Gaspar's coaching career includes multiple spells with the Portuguese national team set up in the early 90s and again between 2009 and 2010 when he worked with several youth sides. Now, before we go, just a reminder that the first of the 2 semi-finals in the UEFA Champions League will be played later tonight as reigning champions Paris Saint-Germain welcome Bayern Munich for the first leg of the semi-final. In terms of team news, is the same lineup for Paris Saint-Germain in the quarter-final second leg that they saw, with key players like Ousmane Dembele, Desiré Doué and Kvaratskhelia starting. Nuno Mendes has also been passed fit to start as well. For Bayern Munich is good news for Alphonso Davies, who makes his first start in the Champions League this year after suffering an injury. Now he joins a similar team that faced Real Madrid, with Harry Kane leading the line and being flanked by Michael Olise, who returns to France, and then Luis Diaz. You can get updates and reactions of that game on our social media handles at 3SportsGH. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and that's how we wrap up for Hot Edition here on 3FM.